Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how are you? Introduce, my name is Rifki Ardani. Here I will present the final project of the English Engineering course with theme of Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop graphics. Understanding of Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop, or commonly referred to as Photoshop, is an image editing software made by Adobe system that is specially for editing photos or image and making effect. Photoshop is widely used by digital photographer and advertising companies, so that is considered as a market leader as an image or photo processing software, and with Adobe Acrobat, Photoshop is also the best production product from Adobe system. And next, Adobe Photoshop is intended for various groups, but individual and companies. First released in 1990 and until now still being developed. Broadly speaking, there are less two operating systems that support Photoshop, namely Windows and Mac OS. But it can also be based on other operating systems, such as Linux, with the help of certain applications. And next, version of Adobe Photoshop. The 8th version of this application is called Photoshop CS Creative Suite. 9 is called Adobe Photoshop CS2, 10 is called Adobe Photoshop CS3, the 11th version is Adobe Photoshop CS4, the 12th version is Adobe Photoshop CS5. The 13th version is Adobe Photoshop CS6, and the last version is the 14th version of Adobe Photoshop CS7, and then Adobe Photoshop CSS, and continue to the next version. Next, the story of Adobe Photoshop. The version of Adobe Photoshop in the background from a long story starting from the step of a professor from Michigan from USA named Glenn Knoll. Glenn Knoll is experiment to process photos digitally with sample tool at Works School, and hope of Glenn Knoll to create a digital image processing program was continued by his son named John Knoll and Thomas Knoll. Finally, Glenn Knoll's two children's success in creating a simple application program until a company called Image can grant licenses. Next, Adobe Photoshop function. Actually, the main function of Adobe Photoshop is only for photo or image editing. Application where raster or bitmap types, but as an image editing application, Photoshop function can be spelled or more specially, namely to beautify image, manipulate image, and create image design. And next, manipulating photo or image that are mostly done on photo manipulating or pre-wedding and so forth. 3D image manipulating with hand-painted imagination capabilities that we can do and use brush tool. The next function can be to make a brochure, flyer, or order layout design on one page. But of course it's not recommended because of the limitation of Photoshop more, or preferably for photo manipulation or photo editing. Next, the advantage and disadvantage of Adobe Photoshop. The advantages of Adobe Photoshop. Number one, the resulting image is more satisfying. Number two, easy to operating. Number three, many super feature. Number four, can be used to make everything white the desert effect. For those of you who want to make everything look different and amazing, Photoshop is the answer. Number five, can be used to design for or for editing image. Number six, can make a variety of materials. And next, disadvantage of Adobe Photoshop. Number one, the many layers that make people confuse when using Photoshop. Number two, Photoshop is not good when used for making magazine. For making magazine and brochures because it cannot be perfect when making paragraph. The required size is taller. Well, if we use too many layers, the size in Photoshop will be large. Number four, when going to print the result of Photoshop, the paper use is relatively difficult. Next, right PC memory set for running Adobe Photoshop. The Photoshop application that is used for testing present two different modes, 32-byte and 64-byte. The first test with that in a mode that is often used by the user is 32-byte mode. And next, send with the increase in memory from 1 gigabyte to 2 gigabyte in can products in performance increase of 10% when the memory from 2 gigabyte to 4 gigabyte send a strict increase in performance of nearly 88% and significant increase upgrading from 4 gigabyte to 8 gigabyte also increase in performance, though not as much as before, which was only 18%. It claimed that the limitation of 32-byte application make using 8 gigabyte of memory less effective. And next, in testing with Photoshop 64-byte, shown more varied result with 32-byte. Upgrading the memory from 1 gigabyte to 2 gigabyte result in a 25% increase in performance, a significant increase compared to only a 10% increase in the 32-byte version, but with increasing the memory from 2 gigabyte to 4 gigabyte, the result of increase of 85.6%, like slightly lower than the 88% increase found in the 32-byte version. The different things happen with increased memory from 4 gigabyte to 8 gigabytes, since 50% increase in performance far greater than the performance on 32 bytes term, which is only 80-10%. Here you can see Photoshop 64-byte capable of optimizing the 8 gigabyte of memory provided. And next, 32 byte for versus 64 byte. Sent from previous test that the memory upgrade should a greater increase in Photoshop that runs on 64 byte. However, is using Photoshop 64 byte better than using Photoshop 32 byte that checks the post the result of the two systems above into a graph to make it easier to read. Next, overall, it offers that the use of 4 GB of memory in Photoshop 64-byte result in my slower performance 10 to 32-byte version. The difference seen is quite significant, ranging from 17% to 31%. Only 8 GB of memory used, so the benefit of Photoshop 64-byte with an increased performance of nearly 10%. And next, bigger is better. After going through the small test above, upgrading the memory visually improved Photoshop performance. From the test result above, Intel so based that the use of 4 GB of memory promise maximum performance if you use a combination of 32-byte OS and Windows 32-byte, because 32-byte OS can only use less than 4 GB of memory. Memory usage above 4 GB only affect those who use the 64-byte OS, especially if it is support with 64-byte Photoshop as well. For those who want to improve their Photoshop performance, memory upgrading is a must, with the price of memory that is creating keeper around 200,000 for a 4 GB DDR3 piece. You will get maximum result or relative lower cost than having to upgrade your system. And next, thank you, Irfan. I hope as is configured for this final project may be useful. Thank you, everyone. Terima kasih. See you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.